Hello and welcome to Creative Marketing TV. My name is Susan Joy Schlief. I am the founder and host of Creative Marketing TV. And today I have a special guest with me. I'm going to be interviewing my friend, mentor, and JV partner, joint venture partner, Rick Cooper from Social Media Outcomes. Rick, welcome to Creative Marketing TV.
Hi, Susan. Glad to be here today.
Good. Well, it's really nice to have you. I know we did this a little over a year ago, and it seemed like a good time to bring you back on to talk about some new ideas.
Absolutely. Yeah. Social media changes all the time. So
It sure does. And I know I've been taking a little bit different emphasis, partly with my own business and also talking on the show about not just focusing on social media as the end result, but why are we doing social media? You know, how does that fit into our business goals? So we're going to take that direction a little bit more today. So Rick, to get us started, why don't you just tell us, a sentence or two, why you're focusing on social media and how that came to be the name and the focus of your business?
Sure. I think social media is the place where people are today. For a lot of small business owners, they can go out into their local communities and meet people through networking events. But for people who want to grow a nationwide and an international business, social media is where the people are. It's a place where you can go to find and connect with like-minded people. So I think a lot of people get frustrated with social media because they don't know where to go or what to say or what to do. And so we're going to talk about some of those strategies on today's show. But I chose social media because it is on the front end. It's how you find and attract people and use it as an opportunity to attract people and then offer value-added resources and then lead them to a next step in working with you. And that's kind of the online marketing piece. So social media goes hand in hand with online marketing. Both pieces work together to be able to help grow your business online.
Right. That's a great summary. Thank you. And, of course, as you said, people can still do live networking events, but then you're limited to only the people that are in your geographic area that you can meet in person, right? So the nice thing about social media is we can expand that to people across the country or across the globe.
Right.
So to get started, Rick, let's talk a little bit about what we mean by business goals. If we use an example, I know you work with a lot of coaches and speakers, so maybe a life coach or a business coach, what kind of goals might that person set up? Probably short-term goals is what we want to talk about, right?
Right. I think there are three main goals to look at. One would be to actually grow your social media network. Part of the purpose of social media marketing is simply to expand your audience. The second metric or a number that I would track would be the number of leads generated. That is the number of people that opt into your email list. So it's not enough just for you to connect with people online through social media. You really want to lead them to a next step where they can opt into your email list, and then you can market to them over time. You can certainly develop relationships one-on-one and then reach out individually and schedule appointments and talk to people. But at the same time, from an online marketing aspect, you really want to be able to attract people into your marketing funnel and then have a systematic approach to be able to communicate with them over time. That's how you build a scalable business. And then the third key metric to track is simply the number of sales, number and dollar volume of sales. So if you look at those three metrics, you can simply track that. You can set up goals, and then you can track your results based on your goals. And it gets a little bit more tricky to actually figure out whether leads are coming in just strictly online or through social media channels. That takes some more work, but at least at a high level, you can set those goals and work toward them pretty simply and easily, and you can see whether you're on track to achieve your results. And you can also make adjustments. Sometimes people have just unrealistic expectations of what they can actually achieve. So, at a certain point, the rubber meets the road, and then they have to make an adjustment to say, okay, well, I can see I'm not quite going to hit that goal. I need to adjust and be more realistic in my approach.
Right. And especially, in terms of, I know it was a kind of a rude awakening for me when I started really grasping how much people weren't just going to find me on the internet. That it was only going to happen if I was doing work to make it happen. So.
Yeah, this is not a build it and they will come kind of thing. It's build it and then drive targeted traffic.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the strategies we're going to talk about today are what I call more organic strategies, which are free content-based strategies. But there's also another form of driving targeted traffic, meaning how to get more people to your website, how to get more eyeballs out there. And that's through pay-per-click advertising, doing things like Facebook ads or Google ads to be able to get people out to your website.
Yep. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and take us to the next stage of, if we pick one of those goals maybe, and talk about what steps you might define to achieve that goal.
Absolutely. In fact, what I want to do is to lay out a 7-step process that people can take to implement, which will help them to market their business through social media. So what I'd recommend is, first of all, I recommend that you take notes as you're listening in. So for anybody who's watching the show right now live, or if you're watching the recording of this show, take notes. The other thing is I would encourage you to go back, save this video, and go back and watch it again 3 times over the next 30 days, because we're going to jump right into this formula right away, but then we're going to kind of expand upon it and get into some more details as we go. So I'm just going to run through the 7 steps, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
The first step is to select an offer for the month. And we're going to talk about the frequency of when to market your business on social media, but I want you to think about having a specific offer, meaning a product, a service, or program that you're going to offer in a given month. Step number 2 is to pick a topic that's related to the offer. So you have the offer, which is what you're offering. It's something that you're driving toward to be able to earn sales. But then you need to really figure out what is the topic, what is the information that will attract people on the front end. Step number 3 is to create a free offer and a lead capture page. So you want to have something free that you can put out on the internet to where people can opt into your email list. So number 1, you have to have a permission-based email marketing system. And then you need to have a lead capture page, which is a standalone web page where people can fill out a form to receive a free resource, and then they'll be added to your list automatically. Step number 4 is to create 2 blog posts and 2 videos. And I'm just giving you rough guidelines here. If you want to do more or less than that, that's fine. But I would say at a minimum, create 2 blog posts and 2 videos. And both of those should ideally drive back out to that free offer that you created. Step number 5 is to share content on social media with a hashtag. And we'll talk a little bit later about hashtags and what they are and how to use them. But this is a key aspect to doing social media marketing campaigns. Step number 6 is to share social media posts with your free offer and your hashtag. And that's more of a promotional post versus an informational post. And again, we'll get into how often to post more informational posts, how often to promote your business. Many small business owners spend too much time promoting their business on social media. And we'll talk about the disadvantages of that. And then finally, step number 7 is to share social media posts with your paid offer with a hashtag. That's actually putting a specific offer out on social media where people can purchase. So that's a 7-step process. Now, we can jump in and talk about frequency here in a moment, Susan, because I think for a lot of people, for a lot of small business owners, it will probably be unrealistic to do all of that in 1 month, every month, 12 months a year.
Right. I agree. Yeah, I tend to think of it more in quarterly terms of like,
Right.
What's my big goal for this quarter in terms of a product or service I might be promoting.
Right.
I might change the free offer monthly or something like that, but still have them all leading to one paid product goal.
Right.
Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, absolutely. There's because there's really a number of different things that are involved here. One is, and first of all, I should probably preface this by saying that many of the clients that I work with are coaches, speakers, trainers, and consultants. They're typically people who have a message that they want to share with the world. And for them, it's pretty easy to actually come up with content, to write blog posts, to create videos. For people who are in other types of businesses, they may not be used to a content marketing strategy. So part of social media marketing is creating your own content that adds value and then sharing that online. And that could just be posting a message on social media. It could also be sharing one of your blog posts out on social media. And when I talk about social media, I'm talking about Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Google+, Pinterest, Periscope, and Instagram, and many other different sites. So what's nice is once you create a marketing campaign, once you create a social media marketing plan, then you can share that on multiple social media sites over time. You can create more visibility, because part of what you're trying to do is just get your message out in front of the largest number of people that you can.
Right. So you're sharing the same thing on different platforms at different times, right?
Right.
Yeah, just so people know they don't have to create something brand new for each of those, right?
Right, but it is good to tailor your messages to the specific platform.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and I'll give you an example. Twitter has the kind of the smallest format of content. You can post messages of up to 140 characters. I typically recommend you keep your messages under 120 characters. On Facebook, a good format for doing information and promotions is about 2 paragraphs. They actually allow you up to about 5,000 characters, but 2 paragraphs is a nice format that's short enough to where it doesn't have that little button that says see more where it clicks down. There's a time to do a long message, and there's a time to do a short message that people can quickly and easily read and consume, and then potentially lead them to a next step.
Right. And in terms of the content creation, maybe just so people really understand that, for a coach, like you said, it's easy.
Right.
What if we took somebody like a chiropractor or an acupuncturist? You know, they might not be thinking in terms of writing content, or, I mean, it could be video content rather than writing, right? But
that's a good question. So let's just take a chiropractor, for example. A chiropractor is providing a service. So people come to them and they would give adjustments. They might make recommendations as far as nutrition. So, you know, their goal then would be to actually bring people in the door so that they could actually serve them. From a content marketing standpoint, what they could do is they could spend time talking about what are the problems or the issues that people have. Like, they could talk about low back pain. They could provide some suggestions. They could talk about you know, the different types of foods that might create inflammation. They could talk about drinking water. They could talk about this and that. But they could also mention that you know, if pain persists, then probably makes sense to go in and visit a chiropractor to have them evaluate their needs and potentially adjust them. So what's nice is, when it comes to content marketing, what you want to do is kind of brainstorm a list of all sorts of ideas that you can share that would be topics that people are interested in learning about, or where they're trying to explore the problem more to understand what's going on, and then seek out a solution to whatever their trouble is.
yeah, talking about the problem is important. I know I heard, I don't remember who it was now, but I heard somebody say once, you have to sell the problem before you can sell the solution, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Convince people that they have that problem.
Well, and not only that,
some
but
people that's not hard, but others may not ever have thought of that before. So.
Right. And not only that, you need to attract people on the front end based on what the problem is, because people have problems, they're looking for solutions. So they, you know, typically as they're searching for a solution, they might type in, you know, healing low back pain. So that might be, and that gets into what we call keywords. Keywords are where people are searching on search engines, looking for, you know, answers, looking for solutions. So they're going to type in some type of a phrase, which would be considered a keyword phrase. So when you're creating content, you need to keep keywords in mind, because that's what people are searching for, and you want that to direct them to find your content. Now, social media is a little bit different, because you can put more of a detailed message out there, and then you're sharing information, you're sharing messages, so people find you, then they could click and then go out and get access to additional resources like blog posts, articles, videos, etc.
Mm-hmm. So just to sum up what you were saying about creating the content and sharing it on social media, we just want to emphasize that you're not just forwarding and resharing what somebody else posted, right? You want to also be sharing. That's
a good question. You definitely want to originate your own content, but there's also a value in sharing other people's content as well. So in fact, if you can develop relationships with joint venture partners, then you can share their content and they can share yours. So that creates a kind of a reciprocal relationship where you're supporting each other over time.
Yeah, and Facebook likes that better, I know, than having you share your own content. So yeah,
right.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got some content created. What do we do now in terms of setting up a schedule for posting, or what's the next step?
Yeah, so let's talk about frequency here for a moment. So I mentioned a moment ago that this is a strategy that you could use on a monthly basis if you want to, but for most small business owners, they don't have time to come up with a brand new social media marketing campaign. Now, one thing I want to remind you is that once you develop a campaign, you can reuse it in the future. Even if you used a campaign only once per year, over a period of years, you would be able to develop somewhere in the range of about 12 different marketing campaigns. It might take you 3 or 4 years to get there. But as long as you're going to be offering those products in the future, there's no reason why you can't reuse and repurpose those marketing campaigns. But as Susan suggested, quarterly is probably a good time frame to think about, because that actually gives you time to kind of plan out, develop, because it does take time to write content. It takes time to write blog posts. It takes time to record videos. It takes time to create a free resource. It takes time to create a lead capture page. So you're assembling all these pieces, pulling it together. It might take you 4 to 6 weeks just to do that, and then you have to have time to actually launch it. So if you did this on a quarterly basis to start with, you would actually be able to create and then launch your social media marketing campaign to be able to get results.
Okay. So go ahead.
So you asked about content. So what kind of content do we want to share on social media? Well, first of all, let me give you a rule that you can follow, and that's the 80-20 rule. 80% of your content that you share on social media should be informational and only 20% promotional. Now, for some businesses, they don't even like to share that much. I mean, for me, I probably share about 95% content and only about 5% promotional. And when I say promotional, I mean something that is going to lead either to generating a lead or generating a sale. So you're either sharing a link to a lead capture page, or you're sharing a link to a sales page where somebody can purchase a product, service, or program. So sharing a video or sharing a link to a blog post, I consider that more informational, because even though there might be opportunities on the page for somebody to opt in or purchase, the primary value that you're providing is something where it's informational. It gives them information, it gives them answers, it gives them solutions, and they consider that to be a good value add.
Okay.
So, and one thing I want to let folks know is, don't worry, you don't have to write all of your messages in advance. I think, you know, the problem that people have a lot of times is they try to make things too complex, they try to make it too big, and they start work on it, but they never finish it, they never actually get it out there. So if you really do the planning up front and then you start the work of it, there's a couple key components you need to get in place, but you can actually create the messages as you go. You can create the content-based messages, which would include tips, strategies, techniques, and quotes, and also visual graphics, which, Susan, I know you're a big proponent of using visual graphics, quote graphics and other things. That would be part of the content.
They get so much more shares on social media, so you really have to be doing visual content now.
Right. Absolutely. And then more of the offers, where you're sharing a link out to a lead capture page and a link out to a sales page. And again, part of the process of writing for social media is copywriting. Copywriting is writing words that are persuasive and influential. So it's not just content, it's really to encourage people to take action. So you have to identify the need, or first of all, you have to grab attention, but identify the need, you have to talk about the problem, and then you have to create curiosity and then encourage people to click to go to wherever you want them to go. In most cases on social media, it's to click a link. That's the call to action.
And really, when you're talking about the persuasion there, it's not necessarily persuading them to buy your stuff or your services, right? It's persuading them to take some action to deal with the problem they're looking to solve, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't have to be a direct promotion where you're saying, here's the product, here's how much it costs, you know, buy it. It doesn't have to be that type of thing, although there are methods within Facebook to do that. There are strategies to build in kind of a shopping cart type experience within Facebook. But I think the better strategy is and the simpler strategy initially is just to get people out to your website, learning about what it is that you offer. And as I mentioned, have them opt into your email list, because you know, with social media, number one, social media is a distraction. So when people are out on social media, they're getting bombarded with tons of messages. So you don't really want to spend all of your time you know, or expect all of your result to come from social media. You really need to have a well thought out, integrated website strategy with a blog and a strategy to have people opt in. You need a marketing funnel where you can lead people from one step to the next. If you're from a free offer to your least expensive product or service to your most expensive product or service. So there's a lot of marketing work that has to be done on the front end before you can really tap into and leverage social media, or I should say on the back end before you leverage social media on the front end.
Yeah, and especially I like what you said about leading them to your website. I heard one teacher a couple of years ago, I took a class, she talked about that as your, what was the word? Something like your landing content or something like that. When you share a link on social media,
Mm-hmm.
where is it taking people to, and what are they going to see when they get there? You
Right.
want to make sure that it engages their attention once they get there, not that you're just sending them to the home page on your website. You want to send them to a specific article or blog post or video or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, we could do a whole show just on talking about the online marketing piece and the website piece of it. I say your website is the hub of your online marketing efforts. It's the hub of your online marketing efforts. So you really have to build out that piece. But even for somebody who's just starting off, you can start getting traction on social media by building a network. Like for a lot of people who are just starting off, your first thing should just be to focus on adding value through social media and building your network, because that network is going to pay off over time. It's not only going to pay off in terms of people becoming customers and clients, it's also going to pay off in terms of referrals, and it will also pay off in terms of viral marketing, which is getting people to share your content and information. So even if you don't even have a business, you can be out there on social media adding value and attracting people, building your network. And then ultimately, if you started a business within a couple of years, you will be much better off. Too often I hear people say, oh, I've got to work on this stuff on the back end. I've got to work on my website. I don't want to do anything on social media. Well, they finally, they spend 2 or 3 years getting all their ducks in a row, and then they go out to social media and they've got a zero audience. Or they have, their friends and family, but they don't have any business people. They wasted all that time building, and now they've got nothing to show for it because they can't get people out to their website. So then their option is, okay, well, now I have to spend a lot of money or, pursue something else. So social media marketing is something that you should do even prior to starting a business. I mean, if you've launched a business and you don't have a social media presence, you're already way behind. So you just have to be out on social media and building your network.
That's a good point, because if you're not even clear about your business, as you build that social media network, you can find out what people are interested in, that can help you develop what your business focus will be, right?
Yeah, social media is a great listening tool. That's the way a lot of large corporations use social media, is to listen to conversations online. When I say listen, it's not like, tapping into a phone. What they do is they have sophisticated tools that will go through and aggregate information, sort and categorize it, and then they can review it and gather information about trends and perspectives, and then utilize that as market research to help them market more effectively to their audiences. So social media is huge for that.
So I don't want to get you too far off track because we want to finish your list, but do you recommend one of the things you can share on social media is to do little quick questionnaires and polls to find out what people are interested in?
Yeah, what I recommend, one of my favorite techniques is just to ask questions. You can ask a question, and one thing I should share is that Facebook is particularly great for this. Most often you'll probably get a better response on your personal page versus your business page, unless you're a larger company with a larger list and a larger network. When you're first starting off, you're going to get more interaction on your personal page. So, but you can ask questions, because one of the things you want to do is you want to train your audience to engage with you. You want to train your audience to engage with you. The more that they engage with you, the more likely they are to see your posts in their newsfeed and actually respond to them. So questions are a great way to get people engaging, and it's a great way to ask questions and learn more information about them.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
One other technique that I want to talk about here that I alluded to earlier when I shared the formula was about hashtags. And so I want to explain the importance of hashtags and how to determine hashtags to use. A hashtag is a phrase that's used on social media that's prefixed with a pound sign. So for example, I could use # social media in a post. And what a hashtag does is it allows your message to be seen by a larger audience, because that hashtag also becomes a search. So people can click on the hashtag and they can pull up a window where they can see all the posts related to that. So one of the things that a hashtag does is it allows you to unify messages across the board into an overall stream of conversation. So what you'll see a lot of bigger companies do is they'll use hashtags in advertisements and then ask people to tweet them or message them on Facebook. And there's this huge conversation that starts. And in some cases, like on Twitter, they can get a hashtag trending, which means then it goes viral and even more people see it. And then people jump into the conversation, but it's creating visibility. So there's a marketing component just to selecting your hashtags. Now, there's two main types of hashtags you can select. One would be a generic hashtag, meaning other people are using it. And then the other hashtag would be something that's unique for your specific campaign, something that you would probably only select. And so the benefit of a generic one is you'll get in front of a larger audience, but your message might be drowned out with everything else that's going on. The advantage with a more specific hashtag is that people will be able to click on that and then find out related messages to that hashtag. You might get some people coming in and crashing the party, posting messages with the hashtag, but at least the primary messages out there should be focused on your particular message. So if you follow the 80-20 rule, let's say that you have 5 tweets on Twitter that were informational that use your hashtag, and then the 5th tweet was a promotional message. So if somebody went through and did a search and saw all the messages, they would see not only the value-added messages, but they would see the offers. They would see an offer for a lead, to go out to get a free resource on a lead capture page. They would also see an offer to go out to a sales page and purchase your product. So it provides a way to kind of unify those messages so that people can see those, and then it creates, in essence, it's a sequential marketing strategy, marketing step by step.
Oh, I never thought about that. And so you use the same hashtag on all of those then, so they come up together. Wow,
exactly.
I like that. Yeah. So if I can just ask you a quick example, like what I'm focusing on right now for my business is some new video templates that I'm creating.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I'm calling that product 1-minute videos.
Nice.
But I could create a hashtag for that, right?
Hashtag 1-minute videos. Yeah, yep. Absolutely.
But then I should also use maybe something like hashtag social video or whatever. Do you base it on what keywords are trending, or are hashtags separate from keywords?
Well, again, if you're looking for more generic ones, then I would first of all, it's always a good idea to research your hashtags and see if people are using them. And there's no guarantee that your hashtag won't get hijacked by somebody down the line, meaning they'll be posting messages with it. But that's the risk of social media marketing. It's kind of a free for all. So there's only so much control that you have. But you can get a sense of how many messages are out there. If you put a hashtag out there and there's nobody posting, check on Facebook, check on Twitter. That's a pretty good sense that that's a unique keyword. But if you put it out there, something like social media is going to literally have probably like millions of tweets and posts that have that on there. So the more generic, the more broad, the more people are probably going to be tweeting or messaging with that hashtag.
So social video is probably too broad. You're saying I should pick something.
Well, I'd say that's good for a generic one. And keep in mind, you can also use multiple hashtags in a single post. Obviously, on Twitter, you've got limited space, so like 1 or 2 hashtags would be about it. But on Facebook, you could do 3, maybe 4 hashtags. I wouldn't go hashtag crazy. I've seen some people put like 30 hashtags, and actually the one site where you can generally get away with that is on Instagram. A lot of people will use a lot of hashtags on Instagram posts because that is a great way to get your message out there, because people do search a lot on hashtags on Instagram to see photos. So a lot of these strategies, they work a little bit differently depending on which social media site that you're using.
Okay, well, that's great. I'm going to definitely start checking out hashtags more. Rick, we need to wrap up here in a couple minutes. So do you have some place where you want to send people to learn more about what you offer and how they can learn more about these social media techniques?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you a couple links. First of all, you can visit my website at socialmediaoutcomes.com, socialmediaoutcomes.com. You can also follow me on Twitter by going to twitter.com/Rick Cooper. And I have a free report on 10 ways to monetize social media. And you can find that by going to socialmediaoutcomes.com/monetize social. And then finally, if you have questions about any of the links, and also if you'd like a checklist with the 7-step process that I shared earlier, the 7-step process for social media marketing, send me an email message at rick@socialmediaoutcomes.com.
Okay, and may I suggest one other option that you add to that? Once we're done here, if you want to put a comment under the video link on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a link to send people directly to get one of those free offers, that would be great. That would make it easy for them as they're watching the replay. They can click on the link in the description.
Do I add that into the chat?
No, in the description on the YouTube page.
Okay, so provide that to you.
Yeah, or you can put it in a comment.
Okay, in the comment.
Oh,
Perfect.
no, I guess I would have to do it in the description, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to message it to me, then I'll add it to the description.
Okay, sounds good.
But you can leave a comment too.
Perfect.
All right. Well, thank you, Rick. This has been really informative for me, and I hope for our audience as well. Any last words you want to wrap up with here to get people inspired?
Well, first of all, social media is complex, so don't get overwhelmed by it. Take things one at a time. Practice, experiment. You're not going to get social media perfect, so there's a learning curve. You're going to learn as you go, but just get started. You know, try things out, see what other people are doing, see what results that you get, and then just continue to learn, improve, and optimize over time.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here with us on Creative Marketing TV.
Absolutely. You're welcome.